Do you have an overly horny and flirtatious bard that needs to be knocked down a peg? Introducing this revolutionary product guaranteed to make them think twice about the next time they try and wet their willy, the Succubus. Or try the latest masculine model, the Incubus. My name is Matt, and welcome to My Hidden Nerdy Side, a channel created by a nerd who doesn't have many nerdy friends, and so I must rant to you. Here we are with another classic D&D monster, making trips to the brothel a gamble since their inception. Today we are going to build an encounter around these beautiful shape-shifting boner magnets and talk about ways you can use them in your next game. Spoiler alert, we are turning the party into concubines. Succubi and incubi are fiends that are often found in the service of devils, demons, night hags, and many other powerful entities, although they can work for themselves as well. The monster manual describes them as beautiful corruptors, which definitely makes sense since their whole shtick is about getting their victims to give into temptation. Now, despite the jokes I made earlier in this video, succubi and incubi aren't inherently sexual creatures, but more so their sexuality is just a tool in their arsenal they use to make their targets give into their darkest desires so they can prey on their soul. If they can convince their victims to commit the three betrayals, the betrayal of thought, the betrayal of words, and the betrayal of deed, the victim's soul is fully corrupt and able to be extracted. Now, looking at their stats, they aren't too physically strong, but are quite smart, dexterous, and very charismatic, which makes a lot of sense given their positions in the lower planes. They have a claw attack, can speak telepathically with those they've charmed, and can slip in and out of the ethereal plane. But the most fun aspects of the Succubus and Incubus are its shape-changing, its charm ability, and its draining kiss. As a shape-changer, it can turn into pretty much any small or medium humanoid that you'd like, which opens up an endless number of sneaky encounter opportunities where your party doesn't even know what they're dealing with. Their charm ability is quite more powerful than, say, the Charm Person spell. It lasts 24 hours or until they make a saving throw, which they can only make again if they are issued a suicidal command or take damage. And while they're charms, they have to do whatever they're commanded to do, which gives the DM so much freedom to cause all sorts of shenanigans. And finally, they have a very powerful draining kiss skill, which does 32 psychic damage on average, instant kills the target if they drop below 0 HP by literally draining their life force, and can be such an incredible visual if witnessed by an audience. Alright, so with all that info, let's whip up an encounter. Now, to make this video a decent size, we are going to keep this encounter to roughly 1 session long. But succubi and incubi are definitely creatures that could be the main antagonist of lower leveled campaigns and go on in secret for many levels in any campaign because of their interesting lore and their particular set of skills. For example, your entire campaign could be based around a mysterious woman hiring you to help the important individuals in your city fulfill their dreams or complete certain tasks, only for that woman to be a succubus in disguise, and all the people you helped ended up fulfilling their deepest desires, and as a result, this led to the experienced succubus taking their souls. Wait, that's actually a really good idea. Anyway, for this encounter, we are going for a less dark and more fun approach. An encounter that can engage and offer a lot of laughs while still offering the party enough story and moral choices to have some weight to it. So, being creatures that use their sexuality to their advantage and prey on people's desires, we are setting this encounter in a brothel. Not only is it a classically perfect fit for a succubus encounter, but there are tons of role-playing opportunities and interactions to have. You can use the workers within the brothel to separate the party to make the encounter more chaotic. You can say the party can't bring their weapons inside, forcing the martial classes to have to improvise with a broken stool or shattered wine bottle. You can toss in some weird comical patrons to distract your players, and on and on and on. Alrighty, so this is Finala and Finir, a succubus and incubus duo who are the owners of a brothel posing as elegant high elves when they're in their shape-changing form. Why are they after souls? It could be they are serving a higher power in your campaign. It could be a funnier reason, like they are just a husband and wife duo who are very competitive and want to see who can steal more souls. Maybe they are working for separate entities and they don't know it yet. Or maybe they just do it for themselves, or any other reason you come up with. It's up to you. Now, the party are looking for another elf named Gael, a quiet cobbler who is known to be timid and mind himself. Now, it doesn't matter what the reason you give your party is for finding this guy, but they just have to be motivated to do so and can't know where he is. Your party will ask around, maybe use some magic, or whatever. But eventually they will discover that Gael has been hanging around the Dancing Dryad, which is a higher-end brothel in town. They will be greeted by a shirtless, touchy elf who is acting as the doorman/host and will offer the party some drinks and accompaniment. If the party tries to cut to the chase, he will rebuke their hastiness and get the working gals and guys to attend to them. The NPC brothel workers will come off as they love their job and couldn't be happier. If you want to go darker and the party inquires about their past, you can begin to slowly drop hints that all the workers have left their past lives to come work here, which could lead to all the workers being corrupted and charmed by the Succubi and Incubi. Now, Gael is actually the shirtless touchy elf who greeted them and is currently being corrupted by one of the two main fiends. But the party will need to do some digging in order to find that out. Give the party some drinks, let them roleplay to their heart's content, and then eventually enter Fenala and Fenir. Now, I had them offer themselves to the party to try and get one of the players in a room alone with them. Being the DM, you will know what interests your party, and you can use that to your advantage, playing it off like the owners of this establishment see many people and are simply just good at reading them. Which charismatic and intelligent fiends that literally corrupt people and get them to live out their deepest desires for a living would actually be good at doing. Now, I started off with the fighter in my group because, of course, he has a low wisdom score, so charming him will be the easiest. Once you get them into a separate room, have a quick one-on-one RP session with the player and then attempt to use your charm ability. If you have both Fenala and Fenir in the room, you have 2 chances. If you separate the Succubus and Incubus and try and get multiple targets, you have 1 chance. Now, with this encounter being intended for parties of a lower level, it's going to be quite difficult for your fighter to make 2 DC 15 wisdom saving throws in a row, so chances are you have acquired your first player character concubine. Upon being charmed, either whisper to your player character the next instructions, or send them a private message if you're playing online. Instruct them to invite the other player characters to visit them alone so you can repeat the process. You can either get them to do it more subtly if you want to make this a potentially multi-session encounter, or they can be very obvious about it if you want this to be a more comical and quicker encounter. I went with the latter since this was more of a side quest to begin with. With this, I was able to charm 3 PCs before they started to catch on and a fight broke out. Now, the first person I charmed was actually a Warforged, so he went running around asking the party for oil rubs. It was a great time. You might be thinking that's impossible since a Succubus and Incubus can only have 1 person charmed at a time. And you're right. Now, there are 2 ways to get over this hurdle. One is with homebrew, and the other is mechanically. With homebrew, you can just say they are seasoned corruptors who have been doing this for ages and have evolved to be able to charm multiple targets. Or, you can have some of the other workers be succubi as well. Having some secret succubi workers is great for many reasons. If your party is absolutely stomping the 2 fiends, you can toss 1 or 2 more in there to balance out the combat. Maybe your party defeats the 2 fiends and one of the hidden succubi ends up taking over the brothel. Maybe she hated working for the head Succubus and Incubus, and now you have an evil brothel owner who will feed you information in return. Now, combat did break out when I ran this, but there are still many other ways to get out of this without combat. They could just kidnap Gael and run, or try and break the charm and convince him to stay true to who he is. They could try and get the guards involved. They could be evil and make a deal with the brothel owners and offer them other souls in exchange for Gael. But whatever they do, the main thing this encounter achieves is fun. There's the investigation aspect and trying to find Gael. There is the lewd background mixed in with a classier atmosphere. There's the uncertainty of what's going on with your players as they are slowly corrupted. There is great role-playing opportunities for your players as they become servants to the Succubus and Incubus. And there is the fun combat mechanics of the Succubus and Incubus charming other people in your party and turning them against each other, and your party having to figure out how to deal with that. So, there you go. You have just completed How to Turn Your Party into Concubines 101. There are tons of different ways to take this encounter and spice it up. So let me know what you would do in the comment section below so I can nerd out over them and smack myself in the head for not thinking of it. I'm going to be putting out at least one of these videos a week, so feel free to subscribe if you like the video and stay tuned for upcoming content. Thanks for watching and indulging my hidden nerdy side.